All right, today's video kind of dovetails into yesterday's video about great old ones in the hills of Kentucky, and that is how to make your forest a dungeon. Now, one of the reasons in any role playing game, it doesn't matter what role playing game we're talking about, any role playing game, one of the reasons people a lot of times enjoy the dungeon setting or, interior settings is because one, it's easy for the DM or GM, whatever we're saying, to know what's in room 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and what's in this tunnel or hall or whatever. Um, and for the players, it's easy because they don't got to make a lot of choices. If they're standing in your typical whatever by whatever room and there's two doors, they kind of know, well, we came in this way and there's those two ways we could leave. Let's pick one. And if they're like my group, they probably will always pick the right hand door or some shit because it's what they do. It's annoying as hell to me, but they do it anyway. So, what you do is when you draw your forested area, whether it's the heavily forested hollers of eastern Kentucky and Appalachia, or it's the heavily forested areas somewhere in Greyhawk, it doesn't matter. A heavily forested alien jungle on some world in your Traveler game. All of it's the same, right? You draw paths, right? And these paths will operate exactly like halls in a dungeon. So you draw areas in the forest that are encounter areas that you already know things are there. And then you connect them by paths, right? However you want, whatever, right? And basically, how this method works, and as far as I know, I invented it, but maybe not because, I don't know what everyone else is doing, but I started doing this. So maybe I just saw someone else do it and I stole it. And then I'm all like, did I invent it? Anyway, um, movement speeds and random encounters are going to be faster movement speeds, less random encounters while they're on the pathways, whether they're deer paths or actual little animal trails or whatever, right? So in that way, they can travel about the forest to one location or another, and you can just let them do it. And the players can feel like they're actually exploring a forest and they could go anywhere they want, but of course they want to take the trail because it's the easier thing. However, if they want to just cut straight through the woods, right? As long as you let them know, these are some very dense woods with a lot of undergrowth, thorn bushes, whatever, maybe gigantic alien, Venus man trap plants or whatever, right? Um, then let them. But movement speeds reduced at least by half, maybe even a quarter. If they've got horses, oh my god, they're gonna have to hack their way, like, for every 3 feet every inch of the way they're gonna have to hack a trail through, right? And a side effect, if you're in this deep monster haunted, maybe it's full of Spider-Man or Spider-Man, no, but you know what I mean, the spider people or giant spiders or whatever lives in this giant forest, right? If you're hacking away through the woods, those things are going to hear you. So the players are basically, one, slowing themselves down drastically, and two, increasing their chance of getting jumped by wandering monsters. And the best part of it is you let them choose. You don't, there's no force involved on your side. It's just all, hey, here's the deal. You can either follow the trails and go from point A to point B to point C, or however it's going to work. Maybe there's a woodman village in there and they might be able to go there. Or, maybe there's a tower somewhere that's been there. I mean, you can, whatever you want to put in there could be in there, right? As many different locations as you want, depending on how big the forest is, right? And let's say the characters entered forest from one end and they're trying to get to the other end. So how they wind their way through all these trails is going to matter, right? Uh, and if you want to put, impassable or nearly impassable terrain in, you can do that. Just say that there's a big ass cliff, that they're wandering through the hollers. They find a stream that's easy enough to cross, but then on the other side, there's like a 25-foot cliff, right? Well, if they have horses, there's no damn way they're getting up that cliff. They're going to have to wander around it, and it's going to be a mess, right? So that's it. I would call that the use of soft power, because you're not forcing the players to do a thing as you would in a dungeon. I mean, unless they've got stone walk or stone meld or whatever, they're forced. They can either go left or right. They can't just run through the freaking wall into the stonework and whatever again, unless they have powerful magic, right? That I would call hard power, because there's no flexibility there, really, when you get down to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it is what it is, right? But the way you do a forest, like I'm saying, or jungle or whatever, that's soft power, because they get to decide how easy or hard it's going to be on them. And you just get to sit back and laugh if they make stupid decisions and end up getting jumped by some weird tribe of forest dwelling cannibals that are all inbred and shit. That that's their business. They did that. You didn't do that, and they can't blame you for that either. They can't be like, oh my god, you set up this you did it. I mean, I didn't tell you to just decide you're going to start cutting new trails due east through the woods, because that would have been south. But anyway, the point, you get my point. And I'm not going to belabor it. I made this video a long time ago and then deleted it. So now I'm remaking it. Yes, your forest can be a dungeon. And as far as role playing goes, doing this simple thing will make running any outdoor encounter, especially in forests, deserts, really hilly, rocky areas. I mean, because let's take it to hills. The characters are moving through a really hilly area, right? So, do the characters want to follow around through the lower areas, the hollers, the valleys, whatever, or are they wanting to go straight across land, climbing up and down every hill? Obviously, you can let them do whatever they want to do, but doing it the one way is going to be a lot easier. Doing it the other way, that is going to slow them way down, possibly break a horse leg or two, going up those rocky hills and down them. And also maybe even attract monsters that they may not attract. Plus, I mean, if there's going to be water anywhere in a really hilly area, it's going to be in the hollers there. It's going to be in the valleys. It's not going to be on top of a hill unless it's rushing down into the. So any piece of outdoor terrain you can really treat like a dungeon, like I said, just by putting in the trails and the encounter areas, if you wish, which rooms basically, and then if the players decide to go off trail and just cut cross country, increasing the difficulty and decreasing the speed dramatically. Eventually, any player with three brain cells to rub together is going to realize when they're going through the jungle or whatever that it might be better to try and follow the trails, the animal trails and stuff like that, than to just try and chop their way right through the jungle. Because, you know, players typically, I like to think most role playing players and DMs are smarter than the average person. So, you know, I believe this work will work uh, for you. It works for me because your players are going to be like, they're going to do the math. You know what I mean? In their head, they're going to do that math. They're going to be like, okay, we can keep going through this trail and maybe get on the other side of the forest in a day or two. Or we can just go cross country and heaven only knows where we could end up. That's kind of an easy choice if you think about it, right? Pretty easy choice. So I'm going to end her there. It don't need to be much bigger than that. I mean, just imagine it in your head. I used to have a folder that had it actually drawn in to show an example, but I don't know where I put it. And you'll see that, yeah, this is a great way to run your dungeon encounters or outdoor encounters, I mean, and keep control of what's going on just as if they were in the dungeon. Because remember, there's a reason the dungeon is so popular, and that is because it's a very highly defined region with very, 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 very limited choices. And that makes it very easy to run in because, like I'm saying, you know, yeah, I've said enough. I'll keep talking. I don't need to. I've said enough. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. So there you go. When you're doing your forests, do it my way because it's the right way. No. And I think you'll find it's a lot easier and most importantly, a lot more fun for everyone involved. So until the next one, peace out.